everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. We are talking best and worst. This is a show that we've done every week to have a little taste of our Hidden Gems podcast. And hopefully, if you enjoy this little broadcast, that you'll check out our longer show that we do every week. And so we profile the best and worst of an actor and actress that we enjoy. And so this is a lot of fun. I am film critic Rachel Wagner, and Ryan's here.
Hey, Rachel, so great to be back with you again. And today we're going to be talking about Kevin Costner. And this was a hard one for me because, like the Michael Keaton one, it was like he's been so good in so many things. It's like trying to separate the two between best and worst. Finding the worst was probably as hard as it's ever been, at least for me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has some pretty cringy performances, but usually the movies he finds his way into good projects. I feel like a lot of times, even if I don't feel like his performance is the best. So yeah, it was a challenge to find out, especially his work in the '90s. I think is mostly pretty strong. So let's dive right into it. What is your best of Kevin Costner?
So my favorite Kevin Costner performance, and I have a feeling this may be slightly predictable, but it's such a great movie, I don't care. It's Field of Dreams. This was released in 1989, and we all know this story. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen Field of Dreams, but to those of you who have not seen it, it's essentially about a farmer named Ray Kinsella, who just lives with his wife and his daughter out on their farm. And in his own words, he has never made a stupid decision in his entire life until one day when he starts hearing voices in his cornfield saying, "If you build it, they will come." And he's like, "What?" And then he gets the idea to build a baseball field on his cornfield. And so he ends up doing it. And literally everyone calls him a crazy person for doing it, but he does it anyway. And this is just Costner at his best right here. And not just Costner, but Ray Liotta is awesome in it. James Earl Jones is in it. Amy Madigan's really good in it. And it's one of those movies that when you think of baseball movies, despite the fact that it's a work of fiction, your mind immediately snaps to Field of Dreams. So much so that they play it all the time on the MLB network when there's not a baseball game on. That like it's synonymous with it. And I think it's absolutely Kevin Costner's finest work.
Yes, I have to admit that this would also be my choice if I was just going off of my favorites. I absolutely love Field of Dreams. It's such a hopeful picture about him being able to forgive his father, and the James Earl Jones character being willing to forgive all the characters. It's such a beautiful movie, and it's one of the best. I think you could even maybe call it a slightly faith-based film, really. But it's just done so well, and it's about hope and belief in things that you don't see. It's the ultimate faith in believing in something you don't see and don't have proof of, but doing it anyway. And so I love it too. And so that would be my pick. All right, what's your worst of Kevin Costner?
So my worst of Kevin Costner may be a bit obscure to most of you. It's not like an obvious one. I have not seen The Postmen. I think Waterworld is a guilty pleasure of mine. It's not a good movie, but just on a scale of it, I just admire it. But side road. No, my worst of Kevin Costner is a little-known movie called Criminal. This was released in 2016. Tells the story of a CIA agent played by Ryan Reynolds who is killed while trying to find some stolen secrets. Finding the secrets, remembering them in his brain, but he gets killed in action. And so then his brain is transplanted and put into the body of a death row inmate played by Kevin Costner. It's a very interesting premise, but Kevin Costner just couldn't have been asked. And unfortunately, I think the 2010s the decade basically summed up for him was he just couldn't have been asked, with the exception of Man of Steel and Molly's Game, which he only had one real scene in, but was excellent. And like he he was just kind of there. He existed, and that definitely shows in this movie because for a role like this, you have to get an actor who can really emote and sell the tragedy of this guy's brain is in another guy's body, and he has to work his way around that, and it's just never sold. And it's hard because I like Kevin Costner. I like about 90% of the movies that he's been in. So picking a worst was really difficult for me. And so the worst one that I have seen from him is Criminal.
Right. No, I haven't seen Criminal, so that's really interesting. I remember hearing, yeah, some not great things about it. Uh, yeah, I mean, picking my worst for Kevin Costner, it was a real debate between The Postman, which I haven't seen in a long time. It's a very long movie. I think that's part of the thing is 3 hours of this weird dystopian postman thing. I just remember thinking it was really boring. But you're going back a long way to when I'd seen that movie, and I was not about to watch it again for this podcast.
I believe it was total legend Gene Siskel who described this movie as Dances with Myself.
Yeah, that's right. And it's dystopian, but everything seems like it was like in the 19th century. Like I don't know, it feels like a period piece, but supposedly in the future. It's weird. But I think I'd almost rather watch that if I had to than rewatch Message in a Bottle. This is probably the Nicholas Sparksian of all Nicholas Sparksian movies. The only good thing about it is that Paul Newman is in it, and it has Robin Wright and Kevin Costner, and he's this like lonely widower who puts this message in a bottle because he's so sad, and she finds it and finds the message, and is on the hunt to find this man who wrote this beautiful message, and it's so I really don't like it at
And
all.
by just the statement of you saying that, I know it's bad.
I am actually not the biggest fan of Nicholas Sparks' style of romances. They're just so manipulative emotionally. And I don't know. There's a couple of them that I like, but this one I just not a fan of. And they don't have the chemistry that you need to pull off this kind of super duper sappy, emotional, supposedly movie. There we go. That's our thoughts on Kevin Costner. Let us know your picks for best and worst of Kevin Costner. The reason why we were talking about him today is he has a new film called Let Him Go out with Diane Lane. That's one of the only new movies at theaters. So I've heard good things about it. So you'll have to let us know if you've seen it, what you think. And make sure you check out the Hidden Gems podcast this week. We talked about Canopy. It's pretty fun. So Ryan, how can people follow you?
They can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at RyanCam20. Then there's, of course, my YouTube channel, which is just Ryan Cam. The Mandalorian reviews will be continuing. The new episode drops on Friday, so expect my review of that Friday afternoon. Also, the AFI project is rolling along. The reviews for Intolerance and Lord of the Rings are in the can, and I'll be releasing those very soon. And then just a lot of content coming you guys' way. If you all haven't checked me out, please do. I've put a lot of time into the channel, and I'm very proud of it. So if you haven't checked me out, please do.
Yeah, everybody, please subscribe. You should subscribe. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we also have our Patreon group, which has really fun patron watch-alongs and other benefits. Check that out. All the information is in the description. And we have our merch store, which has lots of festive designs right now. So another thing to check out. So thanks so much, Ryan. And again, let us know your thoughts on Kevin Costner in the comments. So thanks much, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.